back working again, and I'm kind of moving normally. To kick off a week back from vacation, I'm so pleased to welcome old friend Congressman Jason Chaffetz. Used to represent Utah in the House of Representatives, now on Fox News, where you see him frequently. Jason in the House on X. Hello, Jason. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Congratulations surviving the grandkids. I get it.
Uh, yeah, oh, the back hurts, but it was joy filled. I've got in my hand, They're Coming for You, your brand new book, They're Coming for You. And Frank Luntz says we've got to say the title 7 times. They're coming for you, they're coming for you, they're coming for you. I'll let you get a little bit more. I'm kind of stunned at the hunger for more and more invasive data collection. What prompted you to get into this subject matter, Jason Chaffetz?
When I started to learn how invasive it was, it's not just about making sure that your phone gives you information about how to find a better cup of coffee. I was shocked through my time in Congress and afterwards as I learned even more about how much data is collected by our government and is sold by our government. Our government is buying and selling data. And these AI companies, the Metas, the Googles, Alphabets of the world, are using these things for some very nefarious purposes. And I think most people are terribly naive about what's happening, how their data is bought, sold, and used in perpetuity. And it scares me about the future of our country.
I count me among the naive. I signed up for Clear years ago, and I'm gladly put my
Yep.
eyes in front of the machine in every airport, thinking that, well, this is secure. But they sell data. I didn't realize that. Did I agree to that when I signed up for Clear?
Yeah, you did. And what most people don't realize is there are companies out there, data brokers. It's nearly a $500 billion a year industry at this point where they are buying and selling your facial recognition. And what they can do once they have your facial recognition, they can match that with other data points. For instance, in the state of Florida, I would have never guessed this, but it used to be that when they would collect your driver's license information. So a 16-year-old goes to get her driver's license, name, height, weight, does she wear glasses, what is her eye color, all of that. Plus they capture her picture. The state of Florida was selling that information to data brokers, even though you paid to get your driver's license. And so
See,
that was a revenue stream for them.
did the governor make that stop? Because that happened in California. That had to come to an end in California when I
Yeah.
lived there a decade ago. Has Florida put a stop to the selling of state collected information?
I believe so, but I don't know how many other states are doing the same types of things, and so you just wonder, okay, where is this? And the other thing that I know, you look, you're an attorney, you're very keen on this. Law enforcement has figured out that what they can do, Hugh, is they could never go get a warrant to follow you or track you. Certainly since the Jones case, and they can't track you, but they believe that they can go purchase that data about you, and that doesn't violate our Fourth Amendment rights. And so you see government at all levels, whether it be the Pentagon, the FBI, any law enforcement, DEA, et cetera, even local law enforcement purchasing this data. And the other thing that people are naive about is I could go to a data broker. You tell me anybody's person, and I can put a geofence around you. I can tell you every phone that came within 50 feet of that particular address for, I don't know, last 3 months. You just tell me how long you want to look. And there's a way to buy that data. And they can tell exactly what you've done, who's visited you, who's come by to see you. That information is readily available in the markets today.
On almost every page of They're Coming for You, there's another story that will make you sit up and say, that can't be true. For example, do you know what the two sites have in common that I'm about to name? One is Muslim Pro, that's a prayer site for Muslims, and another is Grinder, which is a gay dating hookup site. What do they have in common, Jason Chaffetz? They sell their
Uh,
data.
they sell their data. They're buying it, but then more importantly, they're selling it. And when they can match that with your facial recognition, and then be able to tap into all these cameras when you're able to go somewhere, look out. They can tell a lot about you, and you may be something more salacious like that. It could be if you're going to a cancer clinic. It could be going if you're going to a Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. It could be if you're at a political rally. And that's the concern, is that they're using this to manipulate elections. And that has been used in a big, big way.
I'm going to come back to facial recognition in a moment, but you reminded me. A headline this afternoon is that Texas Democrats end walkout, ensuring GOP redistricting plans pass. My guess is that the next round of redistricting is going to be ruthless for every state that is either all red or all blue. And ruthless depends upon data. Now, it's unconstitutional to use data, racial data, and probably gender data. But they don't really need that. Those are kind of blunt instruments compared to the kind of data you're talking about. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. There is an executive order, 14019, that Biden put out in March of it, when he became the president. And this was a concerted effort to use all the federal resources, both physical locations, personnel, and data. And imagine how much data they have, whether you're a Social Security recipient, if you're on SNAP, all these types of data pipes. And what they did is they leveraged, for instance, housing and urban development, and they would target certain areas, or the Small Business Administration. They went into Michigan, for instance. The book highlights this, and they talk about how they targeted certain areas to get out the vote, make sure certain people were registered. They even did this with the U.S. Marshals. If you were in custody, they did this. And probably the most nefarious one that I saw, Hugh, that I read about it, is what's called Vote ER. And that is these emergency room doctors. It was started by a person who said, "Hey,
Yes.
what we can do is when we have patients, we're going to go to them, even though they may be sedated or under influence of drugs. Even people were in psych wards or mental hospitals. They were going and registering them to vote, and you can tell a lot about a patient if you have that information." And they literally gathered several million bits of information about patients while they're in the hospital. Forget your HIPAA laws. I mean, they literally did this, the Democrats.
Jason, in terms of redistricting, though, do you expect Texas is going to go first? California is going to go to the ballot in November to get an amendment to the state constitution, which mandates an independent redistricting commission. I don't know if it'll pass or not. But do you agree with me that it's all going to be hyper manipulated and basically we're going to have non-competitive districts everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, 98% of people that run for re-election are already statistically going to be re-elected. It's going to get even worse, though. I mean, Texas already had this and allowed this, but for California to go back and change the way they do things and abandon their so-called, independent commission is just sort of laughable. But Democrats do this to their own peril, because if every state did it, Republicans are going to win that fight in a big, big way. Their margins will get even bigger.
Yeah, that is what's going to happen. And I don't know that Governor Newsom is as popular or persuasive as he thinks he is. I want to go back to the Colonial May 2021 break-in of Colonial Pipeline. You write on page 110, that was a watershed moment in our American cybersecurity laws. Why is that one matter so much, Jason Chaffetz?
Well, part of my problem with the federal government is I don't trust them with our data. And they have been collecting so much, but they can't be trusted. We've had multiple break-ins and stealing of data, that being, one of the worst that is out there. And so the more the government collects the data, the more I worry about it, because not only, again, are they selling it, but it's prone to be stolen. And one of the things that the Chinese have done, for instance, is target everybody with a security clearance. That information is in the wind. And so, yeah. Oh my goodness, it's just, if you know everybody that has a security clearance, once you have one bit of information, you can go out and buy all the other bits of information, and you know exactly who these people are, where they are, who they're talking to, what they like, and they're prone to manipulation.
I will be back talking with Jason Chaffetz at the end of the show about his brand new book. They're coming for you. It's being released. Go and order it right now. It's available if you go and order it at Amazon or at Barnes & Noble or your local bookstore, probably in airports by the time you travel next. Go and get it. Get woken up to the fact that you're being watched and people are selling data about you. And what we do about that, well, you have to stick around in the show to hear Jason a little bit later to find out what to do about it. Stay tuned. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. I'm back with Jason Chaffetz. His brand new book, They're Coming for You, in bookstores soon, available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble right now. It's a wake-up call about the data world we live in. Jason Chaffetz, I want to give our listeners and viewers on the Salem News Channel a little bit of perspective here. Page 93. In the 50 most populous American cities, there are 537,000 cameras monitoring the combined 48.9 million people there. Now, I knew that was true about London, and I knew that facial recognition software and social credit scoring was ubiquitous in the People's Republic of China. I wasn't aware that our 50 largest cities had gone all in for this. When did that trend take hold?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, America loves it when there's a bad guy on the run or somebody's robbed a bank or there's a kidnapping and we can chase that person down in a few minutes. But that has been used as the Trojan horse, so to speak, to go and justify having a camera on every corner, many of which are hidden and not able to see them. And this is the concern. And when you combine all the private cameras on top of that, whether they be Ring doorbells or whatever it might be, or your local grocery store, it's just, there are so many millions of cameras out there. And again, the facial recognition is probably one of the most concerning. I write about in the book that I had a hearing when I was chairman of the oversight committee with the FBI, which was supposed to disclose how they were doing this and what they were doing. And they basically lied to the American people. And I don't think the government has come clean about how much data they already have on you. And again, that they buy and sell this data. That's the scary part. They will sell it, go to a data broker, buy it back, and then be able to say, well, now I'm justified in following Hugh Hewitt in whatever grocery store that he goes to.
You know, I never even heard of PIM, P-I-M eyes, PIM eyes, or Fast People Search. These are big facial recognition companies, but probably the most staggering statistic, the asking price for data on 3 billion people. This was on page 107 of They're Coming for You. 3 billion people. You want the data on them? $3.5 million. That's a little bit like, for those who can remember the Austin Powers movies, Dr. Evil asking for $1 million. Really? 3 billion people's data is only $1.5 million bucks?
Yeah, you can go out on the dark web and you can purchase this information. Clearview AI is one of the biggest data brokers out there. I'm not saying they did anything illegal. I'm just saying they're one of the biggest. And they have sold this. In the first week of the Biden administration, the White House spent $500,000 to access their database. What does that tell you? Like, why are they doing that? Again, this is not necessarily law enforcement trying to say, hey, we're trying to track down everybody in the country who's illegal. No, they're tracking you whether or not you've done anything, even if you're a suspicionless American. So the data is fairly cheap. Like I said, it's nearly a $500 billion a year industry, but there are so many billions of bits of information. And what I'm really concerned about, which you write about in the book, is our youth. You know, you got a 7-year-old who's growing up in this world. How do they expect any degree of privacy? This is every movement, everything they've done, and how they're manipulating kids in schools and gathering their data and their information at a very young age is just very scary.
Yeah, it occurred to me because I was surrounded by grandkids when I was reading They're Coming for You. You have to begin to teach children about cyber safety the same way you teach them about crossing streets and staying on sidewalks when they're very, very young, or before they know it, they're going to say, yeah, I want to get the teen people update or whatever they're reading these days. And that data is immediately brokered. That's the amazing, the market always never sleeps. There's a market for information. That market never sleeps. Tell me about the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. You write that it was set up in 2018 by Republicans under President Trump's first term, and it was fully weaponized by 2020. What do you mean by that?
Well, since they all good intent, right? Hey, let's gather this information so that we can protect against the bad guys. The problem is when you take that information and you can manipulate it and you can sell it. And again, it's not just to sell a better cup of coffee or to get somebody to the movies quicker on time. This is being used not only to market, but then it's also being used to manipulate elections and to understand who you are. I worry that it's morphing into this social credit score that you referred to earlier, the the way China and others do it. So they have people that are following your gait. That is how you walk. They believe through facial recognition with an 80% certainty they can tell you your sexual orientation. They are taking this to an extreme viewpoint, and they are debanking people. I mean, they've debanked Melania and Barron Trump. They did it to the poultry industry. They did it to the meat industry because they didn't like the businesses that they were involved with. So they match the people with the industry and say, hey, you're not allowed to participate. And because these banks and credit unions have to meet certain scores, they are rejecting people or giving higher rates to people based on where they've been, what they do, what they frequent. Are they Republicans? Are they conservatives? They don't say that out loud, but like the Denver Public Schools, which is highlighted in the book, they're not going to hire somebody who has conservative tendencies. They're just not going to do it. And so they end up with like 2 teachers that are conservatives and hundreds of students or teachers that are more liberal minded. And that's how they're able to manipulate it.
There's a screening app now used by most school districts in the United States when people apply for a job, and you ask 20, they ask and you answer 20 questions, and they either say round 2 or you're out. Do you think that is using this data? I really don't know, but it just seems to me that it's an absurd way to screen people, asking them 20 questions.
I think the proper answer is they might be. And that's where we have to change the law, and we have to really be careful. You talk about the young people and this sort of stranger danger. I think it's true for adults. I think it's really true for seniors. Seniors are as vulnerable as anybody to this sort of manipulation. And where we're going with the morphing of AI with these deep fakes on the voice, fakes on the videos, it looks so real at this point. This is off. If you
you're
look
going to get
Meta,
a phone call. Yeah, you're going to get a phone call out of the blue that says your grandchild's being held captive in Mexico. Don't pay the ransom. It's not real. Jason Chaffetz, congratulations on They're Coming for You. The book is out now. Go to Amazon.com. Go to BarnesandNoble.com. Pick it up in the airport. It's an eye-opener. They're Coming for You. Jason Chaffetz, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'll see you again soon. Don't go anywhere, America. I'm Hugh.